Jill Van Velzer. On April 11th, 1776, from Braintree, Massachusetts, Abigail Adams wrote to her husband, John Adams. I miss my partner. I find myself unequal to the calls which fall upon me. I find it necessary to be the directress of our husbandry and farming. I hope, in time, to have the reputation of being as good a farmeress as my partner has of being a good statesman. John's reply was uncharacteristically modest. Your reputation as a farmer, or anything else you undertake, I dare answer for. Your partner's character as a statesman is much more problematical. This light-hearted exchange concealed what was actually, for Abigail, at least, a very distressing situation. The Continental Army's appetite for soldiers, combined with other unprecedented job opportunities that were opening up for young men in New England, created a dire shortage of labor. In early 1776, Abigail was left without a farm manager, and despite her utter lack of knowledge in farming and animal husbandry, she was obliged to assume full control of the Braintree farm herself. All of this while also raising, schooling, clothing, and feeding 4 children under the age of 10, not to mention finding time to write all those letters to her husband, almost 1,200 of them in all. The correspondence between John and Abigail Adams is American historical legend. To quote historian Joseph J. Ellis, they are a treasure trove of unexpected intimacy and candor, more revealing than any other correspondence between a prominent American husband and wife in American history. No other couple in the Revolutionary era left a documentary record of their mutual thoughts and feelings, even remotely comparable to Abigail's and John's. Throughout their long correspondence, Abigail's tremendous influence on her husband and his respect for her ideas and opinions are obvious. She frequently advised him on policy issues ranging from the problem of slavery to the lack of property rights and educational opportunities for women. Even after she became the nation's second First Lady, Abigail took an active role in politics and policy, which was a marked change from the quiet presence of Martha Washington before her. Abigail was so politically active that her opponents came to refer to her as Mrs. President. So it's no surprise that the Adamses' eldest son, John Quincy, followed in his father's footsteps to the White House. Abigail herself always felt very keenly her lack of formal education and was often self-deprecating and embarrassed that her skill with the pen seemed to pale in comparison to that of her classically educated lawyer husband. Her letter of April 11th includes this postscript. I wish that you would burn all my letters. John's reply. The conclusion of your letter makes my heart throb more than a cannonade would. You bid me burn your letters, but I must forget you first. Now, the Adamses, unlike their contemporaries, the Washingtons and the Jeffersons, did not burn their letters, and we are all the richer for it. Again, to quote historian Joseph Ellis, they both recognized early on that they were living through a truly propitious moment, likely to find a prominent place in the history books. At some point, John and Abigail knew that their letters were becoming part of the historical record, which is precisely why Abigail occasionally worried about what future readers might think of her letters written in great haste and in a most incorrect scrawl. But she needn't have worried. Don't tell John, but her letters were often more interesting and colorful than his were. It sort of makes you wonder, in our digital age where written communication often takes place in Facebook posts and Twitter feeds, will this generation be able to leave behind a historical record equal to that of John and Abigail's? Sort of makes you want to pick up a pen. See you tomorrow.